They used to say it right in front of me. Just leave it there. She clean it later. She's old, what else does she have to do? I stood in the corner of the living room, holding a dust cloth, pretending not to hear. That was easier than defending myself, easier than reminding them who I was. My name is Margaret Collins, and at 72 years old, I lived in a beautiful two-story house in Savannah, Georgia, yet I slept in the smallest room, next to the laundry machines, like I didn't belong. The house belonged to my son, Ethan, or at least that's what everyone believed. After my husband died, I sold our home and moved in with Ethan, his wife Lauren, and their teenage daughter. They told me it would be temporary. That was 5 years ago. At first, Lauren smiled. She thanked me for cooking, for babysitting, for folding laundry. Then slowly, the tone changed. If you're staying here, you should contribute. You're not paying rent, so the least you can do is help. Helping became cleaning. Cleaning became obedience. Obedience became silence. Lauren stopped calling me Margaret. She called me Mom, but not warmly. The word sounded like a command. Every morning, I wiped countertops that weren't mine. I polished floors where no one thanked me. I cooked dinners I wasn't invited to sit down for. Ethan noticed. He just never stopped it. The worst part wasn't the work. It was the way they talked around me, not to me, as if I were furniture. One night, Lauren hosted a dinner party. Friends filled the house with laughter and wine. I stayed in the kitchen, scrubbing dishes while they joked in the dining room. Someone asked, "Who's the old lady?" Lauren laughed. "Oh, just my mother-in-law. She helps out." Helps out. I dropped a plate that night. It shattered on the floor. Lauren rushed in, furious. "Do you know how much that costs?" Then she leaned close and whispered, "Don't forget whose house this is." I nodded. I always nodded. But what she didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I kept a small envelope hidden inside an old sewing kit in my room. Inside it was a deed, and a secret my husband told me to keep until the right moment. That moment was coming, because the woman they thought was invisible had never actually given this house away. They believed I was living under their roof. In the next part, you'll learn why that lie was about to destroy everything they built. My husband Walter Collins wasn't a loud man. He worked construction for 40 years, saved quietly and trusted very few people. When he got sick, the doctors said it was sudden, but Walter had known longer than he told anyone, including our son. One night, while we sat on the porch listening to cicadas, he took my hand and said something that confused me at the time. "Promise me you won't tell Ethan everything." I didn't understand why. Walter explained that years ago, Ethan had begged him for help starting a real estate investment. Walter helped, but he also saw something in his son then, entitlement. So when we sold our old home and bought the Savannah house, Walter did something unusual. He put the house in my name only, not Ethan's, not joint ownership, mine. If anything happens, he said, you stay protected. Don't give it away out of guilt. When Walter passed, I was drowning in grief. Ethan handled the paperwork. He told me everything was settled, that it was easier if the house stayed under his control. I believed him. I moved in thinking I was a guest. Lauren treated me like staff, and I stayed quiet because grief makes you tired. But 3 months ago, I received a letter from a property tax office, addressed to me. I opened it slowly, my hands shaking. It listed me as the legal homeowner. That night, I pulled out the sewing kit, opened the envelope, read the deed again. The truth hit me like cold water. They weren't letting me stay. I was letting them. I didn't confront them immediately. I watched instead. I noticed Lauren planning renovations without my input. Ethan talking about refinancing, using the house as collateral, selling something they didn't own. And that's when I called a lawyer. His name was Mr. Daniels, and after reviewing the documents, He looked at me and said something I'll never forget. "Mrs. Collins, they've been treating you like a burden while living on your property." I felt something wake up inside me that day. Not anger, clarity. I went home and made dinner like usual, cleaned the kitchen, folded laundry. Lauren didn't suspect a thing when she told me to redo the guest bathroom. I smiled and said, "Of course," because I knew something she didn't. You don't rush justice, you prepare it. In the next part, you'll see what happened when they tried to sell the house behind my back, and why the realtor's call changed everything. It happened on a Tuesday afternoon. I was dusting the hallway shelves when the phone rang. Lauren was out shopping. Ethan was at work. I almost didn't answer. "Hello, this is Coastal Realty. Is this Margaret Collins?" "Yes," I said. There was a pause. "We're calling to confirm approval for the home listing at your address." My heart didn't race. "It's load. I'm not selling," I said calmly. Another pause, longer this time. "Mrs. Collins, according to our documents, the homeowner approved the listing yesterday." "I am the homeowner," I replied. Silence. "Then, we need to stop everything immediately." That evening, Ethan and Lauren came home laughing, carrying shopping bags. I was sitting at the dining table, not cleaning, waiting. Lauren frowned. "Why are you sitting there?" "I received a call today," I said softly. Ethan froze. I placed the deed on the table. Lauren laughed nervously. "What's that supposed to be?" "Proof," I answered. Ethan picked it up. His face drained of color. This isn't right," he stammered. "Dad wouldn't." "He did," I said. "Because he knew." Lauren exploded. Accused me of lying, of manipulation, of trying to steal from them. I let her talk. Then I stood up, slowly, carefully, and said the words I'd held in my chest for years. "You don't get to humiliate someone in their own home." That night, they slept upstairs. I slept peacefully for the first time in years. But the truth doesn't end conflict, it exposes it. In the final part, you'll see who stayed and who had to leave. The lawyer sent official notices within days. Lauren cried. Ethan begged. He said he was sorry, that he didn't mean for things to go that far, that Lauren was just stressed. I listened. Then I asked one question. "Why didn't you stop her?" He had no answer. I didn't throw them out immediately. I gave them 60 days. Enough time to find a place. Enough time to feel what it's like to stand on uncertain ground. Lauren didn't speak to me again. On moving day, she walked past me like I didn't exist. Ethan stopped at the door. "I didn't know how strong you were," he said. I smiled gently. "That's because you never looked." Now the house is quiet. I drink my coffee on the porch every morning. I hired help, and I thank them every time. People ask me why I stayed silent so long. I tell them this. Silence isn't weakness. Sometimes it's preparation. And when the truth finally speaks, it doesn't shout. It stands. If you've ever been underestimated, ignored, or made to feel small, this story was for you.